Two Rivers Talks is brought to you by Two Rivers Biz Starts. Also by Two Rivers Main Street. And by Raleigh Point Economic Advising. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Rivers Talks. I'm Todd, and this is my friend Darla. Hello, everybody. This is the place to go for all the news that you could possibly want around the city of Two Rivers, whether it's current events, whether it's fun stuff, whether it's music, art, so much more. We're so glad you're here. We love talking about about the city and all the things that are going on here. And it's just a great place to get caught up. If you live here, if you used to live here, if you're thinking about living here, this is the place to be. So on this show today, we're going to be talking about current events and community happenings, as well as we'll be visiting with our special guest, Lisa Quistorf, the head of the Two Rivers High School, or actually the Two Rivers School District overall. She's queen of it all, so to speak. So
she pretty much is.
Yeah. Anyways, we always get good information from her, and I know she's got some updates for us about the COVID virus and sort of the reopening of the schools, and a lot of good information there. But first, community news, right?
That's right. And you know what comes first in community news?
Before the community news comes the word of the day. Yes.
You must take it away with word of the day.
All right. Well, the word of the day this week, this is one I actually didn't know off the top of my head.
I've never heard it before. It was so cool.
You know, I feel like I've come across it before, but I don't think I really internalized it. I love it though. The word of the day is mondegreen. That's MONDEGREEN, meaning a word or phrase resulting from mishearing another word or phrase, especially in like a song or a poem. So usage for this would be like when you misunderstand a song lyric, like Elton John's "Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza," right? Which is awesome. I mishear songs all the time. You know, one of my favorite ones. There was a one from do you remember the show, the sitcom Dharma and Greg?
Oh yeah.
Greg had one where he had a mondegreen where he was hearing the lyric, I want to party every night and part of every day, or I want to rock and roll all night and then part of every day instead of party every day, right?
Okay. I know. I was really intrigued by this word, so I went online and I was doing a search for more examples, and I just thought it was funny. Instead of "there's a bad moon on the rise," "there's a bathroom on the right."
Yes.
And some of them just made me giggle. And actually this morning, and I think you saw it, I posted that YouTube video.
I love that. That was great. You know what? Maybe you can include that in the show notes, because that was such a fun video. So many different lyrics that people mishear.
It's a compilation. Yeah, it's a compilation of I don't know how many different songs subtitled with the incorrect words.
Yes.
But as you're hearing it, it's like, well, I'll be darned. That was what they were saying.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I'll put the link in, because that was like classic. That was enjoyable. So I'll take care of that. So you did smashingly with word of the day today. So I will go ahead and take it away with area news. And this is kind of funny. I had to rewrite like the headline of this, because the way the newspaper had it printed was a little different, and I will tell you how it was printed here in just a second. But the Historical Society holds my mistake. This is the way the newspaper printed it. Historical Society holds Kid-Free Thursdays in July.
Kid-free.
I thought I changed it in this. Yeah, kid-free. All right, what they meant to say was kids get in for free
Instead of like
Thursday.
no kids allowed, right? Yeah.
So I just thought
Sorry,
that was
kids.
really funny.
Get
But
out of my historical society.
it's Thursday, darn it. There's the door. Well, anyway, the Historical Society will offer free admission. This is what it's all about now, folks. Free admission to kids under the age of 17 on Thursdays in the month of July from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There is a limit of 3 free children with 1 paid adult admission. I could take that badly.
You could take that. Here, have 3 free children.
No. Other upcoming events at the Historical Society include a virtual museum mice preschool program, tavern game night, Create Connect workshops, and on July 20th is going to be the Farmers and Friends Picnic Fundraiser. And of course, for more information, visit manitowoccountyhistory.org.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. So in some other news, this is actually pretty good news for the area. I know overall across the country things are bad, but local May unemployment numbers seem to be down. So the jobless numbers declined in Manitowoc County last month from 14.7% in April to 11.9% in May. I wonder what accounts for that. Pandemic-driven preliminary May 2020 employment rates decreased in Wisconsin's 34 largest cities and in 69 of the state's 72 counties, including Manitowoc. So glad to hear that locally. I think we still have, plenty of struggle ahead economically, but I hope we can continue with that trend and get some of those unemployment numbers down a little bit. And maybe as more people make a transition to virtual jobs and working from home kind of situations. I know that's not always possible with all jobs, but I'm very hopeful.
I think some employers are finding out that it may be the better way, to go, and it might be more cost effective for them.
For some jobs and for some workers,
right.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and just so everybody knows, strawberry picking season is underway. Wilfert Farms out near Shoto is currently in the midst of its fresh market season, including peas, sweet corn, and kohlrabi, which I've never had in my life, but I should try.
Oh, it's really good.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like a crisp, fresh vegetables. It's really, you slice it thin and kind of, you can almost like sort of eat it, like put it in dips and stuff and kind of chew on it. Yeah.
I'm willing to try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as co-owner Dave Wilfert says, strawberries are at the top of the list right now. Wilfert says the sweet corn harvest is less than a month away. That doesn't seem possible.
Oh yeah, and Wilfert's sweet corn is amazing. They have really great stuff. Like they always show up at the Manitowoc Farmers Market, and you can get like 6 or 12 years, or you can take away bags of it if you want, and it's really very tasty.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. It just doesn't seem that's not that far away. It just doesn't seem like the season is upon us.
August, we'll start to see corn. It'll be great.
Where did the last couple of months go?
I wonder.
Yeah. Something you may not know about Wilfert Farms is they're one of the largest carrot growers in the state of Wisconsin. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I've bought from Wilfert for years, but I always kind of knew them for their corn and for their melons. They have some really great watermelons that they have every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for us, corn is always the big deal.
Yeah.
In fact, for years we would get like 8 to 10 dozen, ears of corn, and then I make them all up, take all of the corn off the cob, put it into plastic bags, stick it in the freezer, and then that way we could have it throughout the year. That when that last bag was sitting there, it had to be for a special occasion because we all knew that was going, once that was gone, we were done. You
Yeah,
know that. So yeah, that's something to look forward to.
absolutely.
Um, so for up to date information on what is available on the farm, please visit their website for more information. Of course.
Great. Some local artists have contributed to the downtown Manitowoc facade. Local artists Aaron Labonte and David Carpenter and Becca Jabs have put their stamp on the city with a beautifully colored painting of Ruth West on a wall at the corner of North 8th Street and Maritime Drive, which once housed the Pizza Pit. So, as a group, they had decided to honor the late Ruth West, who you can now find looking over the ever evolving downtown area with her smiling face.
Right. I drove past there the other day on my way home, and it's really cool.
I haven't
All of
seen it
the
yet.
murals are awesome, but this one, I know I'm going to be seeing this one like constantly because that's on my route.
I love
You
the
know.
public murals, public art, man. I think it's just such a vital thing for both the city of Manitowoc and Two Rivers, just to beautify some of the old buildings and celebrate the history of the city. Is just it's terrific.
Oh yeah, and they used really happy colors, so it's really upbeat and it's just enjoyable to see. And the painting of Ruth does her justice. So this was a really nice tribute to someone who contributed a lot to this area. So I thought that's really neat.
Excellent.
Um, Woodland Dunes Nature Center is starting their COVID-19 limited programs. This year's summer bird walk is far from typical. COVID-19 concerns meant the Nature Center building was closed to the public and programs were put on hold. But this month, that is starting to change. From birding to boating, other events are starting to ramp up as well, including paddling the East Twin River. There's no problem with social distancing when you're paddling, so it's just a very enjoyable morning, said Jim Nickelbine, who is the executive director of the Woodland Dunes Nature Center, and we interviewed him not that long ago.
Yeah,
But
great guy.
yeah,
And
spring is
like,
sprung, summer's here kinda, and everything is getting back. Not, I mean, everything. I can't say everything is right with the world, but more things are right with the world, and this is one of them.
that's it's definitely good to see them doing some limited opening again. Um, in some other news, there's a new elementary principal at Roncalli Catholic Schools. So Roncalli Catholic Schools announced a selection of Adrian Lundy as their elementary school principal. Lundy served as an educator in the Valders Public School District for the past 19 years, and she received her Bachelor of Arts degree from UW Stevens Point and a Master of Science in Education from Concordia University.
Right.
So congratulations, Ms. Lundy, for your new position.
And welcome. Oh, here's a just for fun little portion that I stuck in here. Wacky roadside attractions to visit in Wisconsin. Number one, Sputnik 4 crash site in Manitowoc.
The number two, the world's tallest grandfather clock in Kewanee. I never heard of that one. That's awesome.
Either. Number three, goats on a roof in Sister Bay.
That sounds like a Monty Python skit. And now for something completely different, goats on a roof.
That's hysterical. Oh my gosh.
Number four, the world's largest soup kettle in Leona.
Yes. Oh, and number five is the Hodag up in
The Hodag.
Rhinelander.
The cryptozoological wonder. Number six, the world's largest penny in Woodruff.
Right. Number seven, the world's heaviest ball of twine in Lake Nebagaman. Nagabanom.
Back to one. Yeah, something. World's largest boat. Excellent. What do we have? Is this number 8?
Sure.
I can't even. World's largest talking cow in Neilsville.
I want to check that one out. I want to check them all out.
That's amazing.
And number 9, I thought this was curious. The world's largest bicyclist in Sparta.
And number 10, this will be a popular one with some folks. The world's largest 6-pack in La Crosse.
Right.
How is it still not drunk?
They're working on it furiously, I'm sure.
It must be huge.
All I can say is road trip.
Yeah, seriously, I think that could be a fun piece for us to do one day, just to like go out and visit these places.
You wanna?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Oh, awesome.
Very good. Kayakers will be participating in the East Twin River Paddle. So the Friends of the Twin Rivers Watershed held its annual East Twin River Paddle in 2 Rivers on Saturday, June the 27th. At least a dozen people got in kayaks at Paddlers Park and enjoyed paddling up and down the river. So get out there and enjoy our spectacular waterways, everybody.
Yeah, I forgot the D. It shouldn't be participate. It should be participated.
Participated.
I messed up. Sorry about
No,
that.
good reason to get out and enjoy the water, though.
Absolutely. The city of Two Rivers announces the appointment of a new Parks and Recreation director. A warm welcome to Teresa Vosters, who will start work on Monday, July 13th. She will provide solid, supportive leadership for our outstanding Parks and Rec staff and will work to strengthen the relationships with community groups and organizations that are critical to the success of the Parks and Recreation Department. So welcome.
Welcome, Teresa.
I've heard a lot of good things. No, I haven't met her yet, but I have heard just wonderful things about her, and it sounds like she's just going to be a tremendous asset to the city and addition to our community.
Wonderful. That's great. So mark your calendars for some upcoming events here. We're just going to hit them rapid fire. You want to just go back and forth on these?
No, we're going to have to go back and forth on the next item.
Oh, right. List. Okay. So I'll just run down the list on these.
Okay.
July 7th through the 10th, Two Rivers Senior Center's 3-day excursion to Baraboo and the Dells. July the 10th, movie on the beach, Jaws 2. That's going to be awesome. July the 11th, Bands on the Beach. Panic Station is the band. July 15th, Two Rivers Senior Center, the Alive and Aware Wellness Program, Creating Your Own Directives.
Right.
Super important too.
I'm just really glad to see that the senior center is starting to have programs again, because I think out of all these different groups of people within our community, the seniors really need that fellowship with others. So the last couple of months, I think, not necessarily that it's been harder on them, but it's been extremely difficult. And so now at least they can, maybe commune a little bit more with each other. And
it's been isolating.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad to see that. This next part, and I'm going to say right now, congratulations to all the winners and finalists.
Nice.
The best of the Lakeshore results are in.
Yes.
Kites Over Lake Michigan was named the best local festival winner.
Awesome. Congratulations, Chow. Mahout's Supper Club, best old fashioned winner. And then best fine dining winner, and best supper club winner, best salad bar winner, best steak or prime rib finalist, and best fried chicken finalist. Wow.
I know.
Man, they cleaned up.
They really did this year, which is fantastic. So congratulations to Mahouts. Neshota Park Beach was named as the best tourist attraction or landmark So they are
Yeah.
the winner in that category.
I don't disagree. Tapped on the Lakeshore won the Best Brew Pub and was finalist for Best Local Beer.
Right. Port Sandy Bay, here's another one that cleaned up. Port Sandy Bay was the winner of the Best Family Establishment, winner of the Best Children's Birthday Venue, and they were a finalist in 3 categories: Best Bloody Mary, Best Fish Fry, and the Best Pizza.
Cool. Advanced Entertainment DJ Services won the Best DJ Services category.
Dalebro Jewelry was the winner in the Best Jewelry category.
Oh, nice. Congratulations, Linda. Lucky Paws Pet Boutique won the Best Pet Store.
Good
Super
for them.
cool. Yeah, that's
I
great.
I was in there not that long ago to get Smidgen groomed. She was having a huge shedding problem, and I was like, you know, just beside myself because Bill and I were sneezing and just having a terrible time. So they did a de-shedding on her. It's the first time I've ever been in there, and I was so impressed.
Oh,
And it was really a great place to go. I definitely am going back.
very nice.
Klein's Hardware Hank is the winner of the Best Hardware category.
Very nice. Another big winner, Casa Mexico, Best Ethnic Dining, Best Mexican Restaurant, and winner of Best, and finalist for Best Margarita.
Right. I think they should have been a winner in the Best Margarita category.
Yeah, they have an awesome margarita.
Yeah, they do. Let's see. Oh, now, Tippy's Bar and Grill, winner of Best Bar Food, also the winner of the Best Fried Chicken, and a finalist for Best Fish Fry.
Nice. And then Nikki's Good Eats and Treats won Best Burger.
Right. Connie's Diner was a finalist in Best Chili.
Susie Q Fish Market was a finalist for Best Seafood.
Whiskey D's, finalist for Best Wings.
Waverly Inn Pub and Pizzeria, finalist for Best Place for Lunch.
Right. Fatso Sub and Pizza Shop was a finalist in 2 categories, the first being Best Deli, and the other one being Best Sandwiches or Sub Shop.
The Two Rivers Family Restaurant won for Best Breakfast and was a finalist for Best Family Establishment, for Best Soup, for Best Kids Menu, and for Best Overall Restaurant and Best Brunch. So congratulations to them for all those nice categories.
They did really, really super well. Unique Flying Objects was a finalist in the Best Hobby Arts or Crafts Store.
And Renee's Chocolates was a finalist for Best Candy Store.
Right. Schrader's Department Store was a finalist for Best Clothing, Best Department Store, and Best Shoe Store.
And the China Wok was a finalist for Best Asian Restaurant.
Jerry's Bakery, finalist for Best Bakery and Best Donuts.
The Woodland Dunes Nature Preserve was a finalist for Best Favorite Local Business.
Right. Domnitz Flowers, Best Florist finalist.
Rock the Mic Karaoke was a finalist for, you guessed it, Best Karaoke.
Surprise. Where are we? Oh, Ethnic Fest, finalist for Best Local Festival.
Lighthouse Inn on Lake Michigan was a finalist for Best Banquet or Reception Hall.
Right. This one I thought was cute. Rudy's Lanes, no longer Rui's. They got their D back, so they are now.
That's good.
They are now officially Rudy's again. Rudy's Lanes, finalist for Best Bowling Alley.
Cleveland Cycle Works was finalist for Best Bicycle Shop.
Right. Congratulations, Mike, because he has done a spectacular job with his
I know he's a hard worker, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Seagull Marina, finalist for Best Boat Dealer.
And Selves Auto Service was a finalist for Best Convenience Store or Gas Station, as well as Best Tire or Auto Parts Store.
And Sovi's Computer and Supply, finalist for Best Electronics or Computer Store.
Wow, a lot of amazing winners there in the for Two Rivers. Congratulations again to everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that this list is longer than last year.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and there were some surprise winners and some winners from last year that are finalists this year. But I mean, it's all, it's all the public votes for their favorites.
Yeah.
And but I think Two Rivers had a fantastic showing.
Absolutely. These local groups tend to ebb and flow, but it's nice to see recognition for everybody that works so hard at running their own businesses and
Right.
representing the awesomeness that is our lakeshore. Today, for this segment, we are very happy to be welcoming back Ms. Lisa Quistorf from the Two Rivers Public School District to be talking to us a little bit about what's going on with reopening and coronavirus and all the other latest good news from that neck of the woods. Why don't we welcome her into the stream, Darla?
All righty. Hi.
Lisa.
Hi.
How are
Hello.
you?
Good. With this beautiful weather along the lakeshore, I mean, we might have a pandemic going on, but we are very fortunate in our area to have such not only beautiful weather, but just a beautiful location. Living along the lake and having the state park, and it's just such a added benefit to giving us even enough room to do things outside and allow ourselves to social distance and make sure that we can still enjoy the beautiful weather.
Absolutely.
Very well said. Very well said. Lisa, thanks for coming on for Raider Rap. I think is the name we landed on, right? Unless you had a brainstorm in the meantime, but love the name of that. Why don't you tell us the latest that's going on with Two Rivers Public Schools?
Right. And one of the things I would like to start out with is very often people think that when we're not in school, we're not working. So they think that, teachers aren't in school and principals and myself as a district administrator that we're not working. And actually for me in my role, I am usually the busiest when school is not in session. When September comes around, that's probably my least busy, even though I get out and go to the schools and visit and check on those things, and I still continue to do a lot of the work that's part of my role. But in the summer, and especially this time of the year, we're extremely busy. So our teams are meeting and have been meeting, not only when school is shut down due to Corona, but also after school. Our last day of school is on June 7th. And so after that, right on that first Monday, we already had teams of teachers getting together, as well as our leadership teams and our administrative team. And so as part of our administrative team, we've started to develop we did do a parent survey and a staff survey, but the parent survey was twofold. One, it was really to get the input and information from families on how remote learning or e-learning went for our families. And then the second part of that was to find out how comfortable families were in sending their children back to school and what kind of options they would like. And so when school, so we're taking that information when school closed, and then we did the survey, and then we're taking that information and we're really putting it together and to build a plan. First of all, we needed to wait for DPI because DPI, what the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction did was to put down guidelines for school districts. And one of the things that we really need to remember is that school districts are under school board, so that's local control. And of course, that local control comes under some guidance. guidance. It's not like we can run our districts and do whatever we choose, but under those guidelines, we can really work what's best for our district. So we're working very diligently with that guidance, which is I believe it's 87 pages. So there's a lot of information in there and a lot of guidance, but there's also, with that guidance, it gives each district a lot of flexibility. And I think that also has a twofold effect, because there's one that people would like to know the answers right away. And I think just as human beings, we like to schedule, we like to have answers, and we like to know what tomorrow is going to look like. And unfortunately, we don't have those answers. And so the best that we can do is plan and make plans that are going to be very specific, so parents are going to know what it's going to look like. And then, really give them the information, because there's a lot of different scenarios. So our plan is coming out actually on Monday. The first thing that we did as an administrative team, and that team actually includes all our building principals. It also includes our school nurse, our associate principals as well. And then we work with like our food service director and our building and maintenance and our tech director and finance are part of that, but they're really not, when we talk about details, it's really those learning leaders, the people that are really involved in the learning of the schools. And then also we have a school social worker that serves on that committee. And then what we'll be doing with our data from our staff is we'll be adding teachers, and then we're also going to be adding a couple parents, and really to help to get that whole community team to make sure that we have all members and all stakeholders in our plan. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at, what do we have to look at, and that's operations. So we have to look at the operations of our building. We have to look at instructional models. When we look at what we did before, we really did the best that we could. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. And, we learned some things as we went through, we adjusted as we went along, but now when we prepare for September, we're going to have a better plan and a more clear plan, and that's going to also help our parents. We're going to use professional development in our teacher survey, really asking them, what do they need before September? How do we get them that professional development this summer before school starts? And how do we continue to support them in the process? And then stakeholder input. And that's our staff and the people who are involved in our schools, and that's our staff, all staff, paraprofessionals, educators, custodians, food service, because they all play an important role. And then also we want to include our families. Our families are very important. They're the ones when we're not in our buildings. I think one of the benefits that we can gain from this is really bridging that relationship between our families and our school. How do we we're such good strong partnership, we have to get stronger. If we don't know where we're weak, we don't know. And if there's information you don't know, there's nothing you can do about it. So what we'll do is we'll be sharing information on how the district will manage this, the risks, because, very often we always said, we're opening schools as safely as we can. We're really going to change that a little bit to say we're going to present a plan managing the risks as best as we can, because our plan, when you'll see that, our plan is for September to provide the option for kids to come back 5 days a week. And then we also have some other models that we may be incorporated in that process as well. And so our commitment, of course, is on student and staff safety. And then we use the guidance from the Center of Disease Control, or CDC as many people hear, the state, and the Manitowoc County Health Departments. And of course, our insurance, our liability insurance as well. Our plans need to be flexible. So even though there'll be plans that they can look at, they're going to know that there's got to be some flexibility in there as well. And then they're going to reflect preference for traditional classroom learning. And then that'll really minimize those risks that we can do. There'll also be a blended e-learning option with maybe school and traditional, and then also e-learning. So those are the options that we're looking at how we will open up school. And so when we look at that, we have to look at our operations and our physical spaces. And we'll implement those on CDC. So we look at physical barriers. Right now, when we look at our classrooms, what we'll need to do is we'll really need to maximize that space so we can allow students to have as much social distancing as possible. And that's one of the things I think that's really important. There is no way that we can guarantee, or could we even manage, kids being 6 feet apart. It's not going to happen. If anyone thinks that we can manage that when they come back together, it's not going to. It's even hard for us as adults. I know when you meet a friend or you see someone, 6 feet, that's pretty far. That's a ski length. I mean, that's a far way. We tend to like to talk close. It's just part of what we do. And so we will have some plexiglass barriers. We're also doing some creative barriers. Our desks that'll be between the students so that they can still see. It's almost kind of like, I would like to say, like a sneeze guard or a cough guard, or that's what it's doing. And when you look at why are we putting these in place, that's what it's for. We know that how do we get sick from each other? It's with anything. It's with colds, with flu, with COVID. It's our mouths, our nose. It's making sure that we have good hand hygiene, and then knowing, of course, at this time, knowing those symptoms. Some simple things that we're doing is we won't have, like for us in our community, access to bubblers. We will have drinking water available, so we have bottle filling options on our bubblers, where you can, I'm sure you've seen them, where you can just stick the bottle filler. So, and then we'll also have one-time cup use available. So if someone doesn't have a water bottle with them that day, we certainly want people to drink water because that's important in health. We'll also have sanitation stations. So like when you enter the building, making sure that you clean your hands before you come in, and then signage for that. Locker usage, we'll do some rotating so people aren't right next to each other, because now we know, they go smack. So you'll do some rotation that you'll be doing. Like I said, the creating our space for social distancing is getting rid of some of our furniture that actually before really encouraged that group work. Not saying that we're not going to do group work. When we talk about those barriers that are very simple, it's still going to allow for group work because it's something that's really important. It's why we're coming back to school. And then even looking at those teaching spaces, very often, teachers have a larger teacher station where you have things. We're just going to reconfigure that to make sure that we have more room in each classroom. And then we need to make sure that we have an isolation room at every building. And an isolation room is really an identified space where first of all, that if anyone does have any signs of illness, and not only just COVID, but to be able to isolate them until their parents can come and get them. If our kids do get sick, and we do that now. This isn't anything different that we're doing that we didn't do before. The small changes are like the bottle filling. That's something that's different, but that's very easy to get used to. The same even with the little plexiglass barrier. It would be like, sitting across from somebody and just having something in between. But when they stand up and they line up at the door and they go to recess, one of the things that we know is we're going to have to increase that recess time to be able to allow our kids to get outside. We know that's the best place really to social visit. So probably increasing those recess times throughout the day, and then managing that also is really important. As far as also our day-to-day operations, we'll really limit visitors. Before, our buildings were always open to everyone. Now it's really going to be students and staff, just to be able to minimize that. We'll also keep our groups as static as possible. So right now, actually on Monday, we have our high school gym and our high school weight room will be open. That came under the WIAA, and they schedule themselves in pods of 10. So those pods of 10 never change. When they come into, because this is optional, everyone now in our building, when you enter, you need to wear a face mask. When they get in their workout stations, though, they do not wear their face mask. We know that that's not good practice to have that face mask on. The same thing, they bring their own water. They don't have access to the locker room, but they can come in and then they can exercise for that hour and then they can go back, making sure that we're washing our hands. When they come in, we are not going to be taking temperatures, and we are not going to be doing the health checks for every child when they enter. We're expecting that that will be done at home. And if a child doesn't feel well, they should stay home. You know, that's our practice. That's what we're going to say. You need to stay home. And then what we'll be doing from there is really looking at, I think when you look at the time it would require to take 1,700 kids and take a temperature and then run through a checklist, that's really not worth our time. I just think, you know, you when we're minimizing risks, we're expecting that parents are going to follow that. And I think one of the things that's going to happen, and when you think about this, before we always sent our kids to school even if they were sick, if they had a cold or if they had a runny nose, or, you know, now we really can't do that. We've really got to check and make sure that our kids are healthy before we send them out the door. Our adults will be masked in common areas, but our students, it will be optional. We will not be requiring our students to mask. And then we're going to reassign our staff as needed. And then looking at those high-risk staff and students, there's also going to be those alternatives when we talk about traditional and we talk about really e-learning, and then blended learning is something different. And then communication. Our communication needs to be constant, whether it's with teachers, on phones, on email, our newsletters, our Facebook page. We'll continue to make sure that they have that available to them if they ever have questions. And I think that's one of the things that I always stress. Rather than going to your neighbor next door and asking them a question about what's going to happen at school, the best thing to do is to call school. You know, sometimes I'll get a call and someone will say, "Oh, I heard this." And I said, well, I'll say, I'm glad that you called me, because that's not true. You know, because you know that story will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's not, what's going around is just a rumor. So we really want to make sure that it's truthful, and that we also want to make certain that we are providing the best that we can for our children, and then giving those families options if they choose not to come to school. So then when we have to look at operations, we have to look at transportation. So for our transportation, we're going to do 1 student per seat per bus, or if they're by family, they're going to be able to sit together. And so we're not putting a number on. Very often you'll see a number on a bus and they'll say, you know, 20 kids. Well, we have some families that have 8 kids. You know, so if they're able to sit all the way together, we'll be able to get more than that, because if we use our space the best that we can, and that's how we'll be transporting differently, rather than we'll be transporting by families to school. And then of course we want that option for if families, we encourage parents to transport, you know, to self-transport their kids if they can, or if students can walk, or if they can take their bike, we want to make sure that they do that as well. Those are things I think that are just really just important. So then when we look at our instructional models, we look at the traditional, like I talked about before, and what we're going to be doing now is, this time until the end of July, our team that I talked about before, our leadership team of our administrative leaders, our teacher team, and then our parents, we're going to really add those specifics to what is it going to look like for that traditional classroom. What is, you know, so parents really know what is that schedule going to look like. One thing that we do know that we'll be having is a social emotional foundation for students and staff incorporated into the daily routines. One, just to get them back into the school, and then get them used to the new rules and the new way, and the new, you know, just having that comfort level of coming back. And that ongoing communication, and parents need to know, or our community really, that we may need to move between models based on COVID cases within our community, or within even individual schools or classrooms. And so those are the details that we don't have yet. those are the details that'll come out at the end, closer to the end of July. Actually, it will be the end of July that we'll be doing that. Blended learning may be implemented if the number of students in the classroom need to be limited. So if there was really if the CDC or our county or our state said, you may only have this many students in a classroom because the numbers are higher, then what we'd have to do is go to a blended learning. And that blended learning would be, that's where you get into the opposite days. Maybe a Monday, Tuesday they come to school, and then a Thursday, Friday they do e-learning. Those are the things that we don't have worked out yet. And those are the things that take time. Making sure that we're prepared. I think that blended learning, we weren't prepared before to go into the e-learning. We will be prepared. So if it does have to happen, we'll be ready just to go into that new mode and to be able to access it. I think another big part is the e-learning. There are some families that are going to choose that, and they're going to say, I'm more comfortable and I want to have e-learning. So then what we need to do is we need to look at our staff, because we have some staff that are at very high risk, and so they may be the best teachers to do the e-learning. So that's the information that we have to have. We're going to be giving parents, if a parent chooses e-learning, they have to sign a form, what those expectations are, because what we can't have is someone say, I want e-learning this week, traditional classroom this week, e-learning this week, because that's not how it's going to work. It's either your traditional classroom and you're going to be part of that cohort, or if you choose the e-learning, and maybe it wouldn't work out, but then it would be back to traditional. And that blended would just be an option in between. Another big part of this is making sure that we meet the unique needs of students with special needs, our IEPs and our 504s, and making sure that we're really doing the best that we can to be able to do that. One of the things that we found out, even at the end, we had some staff that were doing social distancing learning. Right now, our summer school is going on. So, I drove by a house on the south side over here, and there was a teacher sitting on the front porch, and the child was sitting across the side and, giving them some learning. And it really is a wonderful opportunity for those kids that need that extra support to make sure that we're doing that. And it's something that when we get back to that original statement I said about parents being really involved, if they're involved and we know what they need and we could really work and have that communication, we're all much better off. This is a trying time for everyone. No teacher wanted to be at home. No, it's not like we said, let us stay at home, we want to work from home. It was more work than anyone could ever imagine. And it wasn't perfect, and we know that. But I think the most important thing is when you do something, you have to take the information you have and then go ahead and learn from it and continue to move forward with that. And I think the one of the biggest parts of this is the social emotional piece. This was very hard. It was not only hard. I mean, I know how hard it was for me as the leader of this district when we were shutting down lockers and taking down instruments and sending all this stuff home. It isn't what we signed up for. When we got in for education, it was for that direct working with kids and having those relationships. And so when we know as adults it was hard, we know it is extremely hard on our kids. They love their teachers, most of them, and but they love being in school. It's part of who we are as humans, that connection. I think even for us, meeting like this, I'm looking forward to when we just had a meeting on July 1st with our administrative team, and it was in the library at the high school, and we each had our own table, and it was a social distancing. It was the first meeting we ever had together since March, and it was wonderful. It felt really good to be together, and because we've been doing a lot of this is how we've been doing all our meetings. And when you're in a meeting and it lasts for 4 hours and this is what you're doing, it's hard on your eyes. It's just not what we're set up to do. And then we look at our extracurricular, like I had mentioned before, the gym and the the weight room are open, and this is only open to our students. It's not open to our staff. It's not open to the public. Our buildings are right now, I mean, our staff can go in and they can get things, and we have a process that they have to sign in, and rooms can be cleaned, and they wear masks. And but for our students and the sports, for the gym and the weight room, that is for our athletes to start training for their fall sports, and that's what that starts. So we work with the WIAA for guidance. We don't know what fall sports are going to look like, and I know many people would like that answer as well. And we don't know what clubs and activities are going to look like. I think that ongoing communication and being prepared. I know some people think let's just get on with business and forget all this, but unfortunately, in a school district, and when you're responsible for all the 1,700 students and 300 staff members, you have to do things that align by and align with your health department, state and county, and your liability insurance. And then all the organizations like the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association, we have to follow those guidance. We just can't choose and say we're not going to do what anyone wants and we're going to do our own thing. And sometimes I know that there was some questions. Someone said, well, you are having Kite Fest at the high school, but the Kite Fest isn't using any of our buildings. They're using the soccer field, the cross country field, and the softball field. And they'll be bringing in their own porta potties, their own hand washing stations, and their own liability insurance. They're not using the school building because our role is to really make certain that our buildings are ready for our students in September. So with that, I think that pretty much shares. I think when I look at the stakeholder input, and like I said, this will be in YouTube on Monday, is we'll have more respondents then because we did get some more, but it was like about 50%. But they really want, I think, they really want to return. They 80%, little over 80% want their kids to come to school. And, there's multiple reasons. School is not a babysitting service, but it is a place, it's a part of our society where kids go every day to learn, not only academically, but socially and emotionally. So when we look at coming back and we look at what are important parts for us to get in when we start this learning, and we try to make sure that we can catch up for where we left off in March, is that learning and that play, that ability to have that interaction together. So we're going to have to be creative, and we may need to realign some staff as we do this, but we are going to do the best that we can.
You have a long row to hoe, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I can't even imagine half of the obstacles that can crop up all of a sudden, that were you never even thought, that might be a possibility. But I think you have a fantastic staff uh, in all of the schools. You got fantastic teachers. It sounds like there's a very good plan in place, and you're ready for any eventuality. And I just find it remarkable that you have the different options as far as method of teaching, if it is in person or if it is remotely, or if, like you said, like with the blended, because that's all. Who knows what tomorrow is going to bring? They might, come down with a directive saying, you have to cut your class size in half, just like you said.
Right.
Okay, so how are we going to handle it from there? So it sounds like you have your ducks in a row. It
I hope
really does.
we think so as well. Even though, and I think the part for our community to understand, and I get it. A parent will say, "Well, I want to know what it's like now so I can plan." I understand that they want to do that, but it really is impossible. It's impossible to tell what I can't guarantee what September is going to look like. And we've never, all of us are new at this, and all of us are going through it together. It's not like, just some of us are going through the pandemic. It's our entire country is going through it together. And so we do need to be together. And the best thing that we can do is provide that information and let parents know what'll happen for this plan that I have, and it really is the guidance for the specific plan that'll come out. So July 13th, we'll at our school board meeting, we'll provide an update on how far we've gotten with steps, and we'll put that in there. We always want to remind everyone that it's subject to change. As with anything, you learn more. I mean, every day you're smarter than yesterday. You know, it
I
just
feel
is.
brilliant.
You know, and so we just really have to look at what can we do in this process. July 27th is our date to share our plan. And so that does give our staff and also our families the month of August to know, you know, this is what's going to take place and what is it going to look like. We need, I believe that the date for parents to know if they choose traditional or if they're going to choose e-learning, because those would be the two options. We need to know that. I believe it's by August 1st, just for us to know classroom and sizes, because we also have to look at room sizes and making sure that, you know, we're not going to pack rooms like sardines. We want to make sure there's that room for flow. We also need to make sure that there's good air circulation. Schools always do have good air. I think that's something that you know, very often that cool air or that fresh air is always put into classrooms, and sometimes people think it's a little bit cool when they come in, like even in the winter, but that's because we do need to make sure that we have fresh air that's coming into our classroom, along with heat. You know, I mean, you have the heat and the class is warm, but you also need to make sure we have fresh air.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
I never would have considered that as a consideration. You
Yeah.
know, you guys think of everything.
Well, you know what? We have a really good team, and I think, you know, like I said in the beginning, is it's not just, you know, our administrators and it's not just our teachers, it's facility and grounds, it's tech, and it's food service, and of course our finance, you know, Mary Kay, our finance director, is an amazing person that's a part of this team, because none of this happens without money. And I think that's something that, you know, when people say, well, school wasn't in session since March, so there really shouldn't have, you know, we should have saved money, but we have to continue to maintain those buildings, and there's a lot of money that's in those buildings. And I'll tell you, in Two Rivers, we are very fortunate. Our buildings are beautiful, and they have been well taken care of. You know, we had Bob Boutnick was our former building and grounds, and now we have Adam Rohr, and that continual care to those building and grounds is so important that we take care of them and maintain them, because that's where we need to be. And teachers, whether it's remote learning, whether the kids are being a part, because we had some kids that were amazing and some families that found it very beneficial and they loved the way it went. And then of course we have some families that struggled a little bit and they didn't like that it went. But it's still, that teacher still was required to do everything that they needed, you know, within a work day, and beyond. And I know even for myself, I worked more during that time than when school was in session. I said it was back, must be 10 years now. I might even be longer than that. I was principal at both Koenig and McGee for a couple of years, and those were the years I like to call them my sleepless in Two Rivers years. It was similar to that, and I don't like it, you know, but you know, I love this community and I love the families and my staff, and I'm committed to do the best I can while I'm here. And like I said, we're not perfect. We continue to work together and we continue to grow and do what's best for our kids.
Lisa, thank you for being such a good steward and champion of the safety and well-being of both your staff and the kids in the school district. And as always, we really appreciate you coming on and giving us the update about what's happening, you know, for you there.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Lisa.
Happy 4th.
Oh, yeah, you too. Stay out of trouble.
Oh, you too.
Okay.